Julie, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming in the studio. It's great seeing you. And all right, so help me out here. I confess this story I've seen the headlines. I haven't dug too deeply into this. None of my kids are in scouting at the moment. We have been involved in scouting in the past. And I understand that the Boy Scouts are opening up the Boy Scouts to everybody, not just boys anymore, right?
Right. Well, to girls. That's kind of the important sort of buried the lead there, Cam. But yeah, to girls.
Yes.
So the Boy Scouts, it's so stupid. I wrote about this week, and I am, all of my boys are scouts. My husband runs a troop. Although I should probably be careful. He might not be by the end of the week. I've been complaining about this so much. He's like, shh.
May run a troop somewhere.
Somewhere in California. And I am also a very involved scouting mom. And so this announcement really shocked me. Frankly, it horrified me. And look, the reason I'm not some sexist. It's not the presence of girls that has me upset, although that's part of it. But it's not just because there are going to be girls there. It's actually my anger about this announcement is pretty complicated. One, it is going to fundamentally change the face of the Boy Scouts. For instance, how much longer are they going to be known as the Boy Scouts? It's kind of insane to call yourself the Boy Scouts if you're actually the Boy and Girl Scouts. Apparently, this was done, the Boy Scouts claimed in a statement, that it was to really respond to a demand. They said that they had heard that lots of girls preferred the activities of the Boy Scouts and wanted to do Boy Scout activities but weren't allowed. So they've opened it up. Now, these different troops will still be segregated. There will be which again is so stupid. There's going to be, in the Boy Scouts, there are going to be girl troops and boy troops. That used to be known as the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, okay? But now we're going to have just these sort of scouts and then the Girl Scouts. The other reason, just the absurdity is one thing that kind of irritates me. And people said, but they're going to be segregated, so they'll still have boy troops. But a lot of materials come home for the boys, a lot of reading materials and a lot of images and sort of their promotional stuff. If people think that stuff isn't going to change, that it's now going to be sort of gender neutral scouting with lots of girls in the pictures, and it's fundamentally going to change from a boy organization about boyhood and celebrating boyhood, you're crazy. It is going to change. The other thing that I had a problem with is the impact that this is going to have on Girl Scouts. This is really going to affect the Girl Scouts, and I care about the Girl Scouts. I know that there are a lot of people, particularly in conservative circles, have a problem with the Girl Scouts, but I think the Girl Scouts do a lot of really good things. The Boy Scouts, one of the reasons they said that this is a good idea is because they want to allow girls to be able to reach Eagle Scout status, which, if you know anything about the Boy Scouts, that is a huge honor. It takes a lot of work to reach boys to reach that status. But what people don't understand is the Girl Scouts have a completely equal merit badge, which is the Gold Star. And it takes just as much hard work and thought and planning. And it's a very big honor. So the Gold Star is the equal of the Boy Scout version of the Eagle Scout. And so I feel like it's almost, it's funny, I almost feel it's a little sexist. It's almost as if the Boy Scouts are saying, well, you're not exactly an Eagle Scout. You guys, it's sort of this very it's a little bit insulting, like, oh, well, there's the Gold Star, but to really achieve something, you have to get the merit badge, the Eagle Scout marriage badge. So anyway, that's one of the other things. And I know I'm running on this, like a gigantic run-on sentence, which you shouldn't do in interviews. I'm sorry, but the other thing, and I mentioned this in my article, the Boy Scouts seem to be completely clueless about the state of boys in this country. I mean, let me just tick off a few of these grim statistics. Okay, boys are less likely.
Hold on for a second. Yeah. Hold on. I would like to ask you a couple of questions at some point. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Oh, fine.
Before you start rattling
off
statistics here, let's. I have tapped into something.
I have something to say about this.
Yes, you do. All right, so. First of all, I think it is interesting that there's this sort of separate policy, right, where you've got the Girl Scouts within the Boy Scouts. I didn't realize that was going to be the case. And it does sort of seem like maybe the Boy Scouts are trying to hone in on the Girl Scouts. Like, is this more of a, well, let's expand the number of young tykes who are buying the Boy Scout lanyards and the uniforms? And I mean, if you open this up to girls, now you're potentially doubling, right, the size of the Boy Scouts, as opposed to the Girl Scouts. If the Boy Scouts said that, listen, we're hearing from a lot of girls who want to do the stuff that we're doing in Boy Scouts that they're not doing in Girl Scouts, why are they not telling the Girl Scouts that? Well, and why are the Girl Scouts not adapting, or are they?
Right.
Julie?
Well, I mean, this is what makes me mad. This was a beautiful opportunity for collaboration. Okay. Why not do some joint things between? One of the problems is, and I understand this, that the Girl Scouts, these are just some of the complaints I've heard. That we couldn't do a much more rigorous camping trip because the leaders of my troop, of my Girl Scout troop, didn't know how to camp, literally didn't know how to camp. They knew how to do plenty of other things, the traditional things, the cookie selling and the crafting and some of the other things that Girl Scouts are sort of traditionally known for. So there's some sort of more wilderness experience and survival things and camping things that the Boy Scouts are really known for, and Girl Scout troops aren't doing that as much because there simply isn't the experience on the part of many of the women who are running the Scouts. So what we've identified here is a problem with the Girl Scouts. That needs to be addressed, and there needs to be some reforms. But what bothers me is that the Boy Scouts had a great opportunity to say, you know what, we're going to open this up to certain events. We'll do more collaboration, more joint events to allow these girls, or, there'll be these 4 opportunities a year where Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts can work together, or can do camping, or can do some survival skill training. But they didn't do that. They just honed in, like you said. And look, the cynical side of me says, which that's pretty much all of me, the cynical side of me says, says it was exactly that. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts have been dealing with reduced enrollment. And so this makes me think, this was simply sort of a grab for more bodies. And they saw the opportunity, saw the interest. And so, I mean, I think that's more of what it was. And again, they missed this opportunity to really, I think, do some collaborative stuff. The defenders of this have been like, this is a great way to open up collaboration between boys and girls. Who said you couldn't do that before with Boy Scouts separately and Girl Scouts separately? You could bring these two kind of organizations together to do more things, but they passed that up.
All right. Now, if there is somebody out there who feels just as passionately in support of this, let me know. We'll offer up equal time. I don't really have a dog in this fight.
Are you not going to let me tell my statistics? I love my statistics.
Yes, please.
Okay. Are you trying to because have I bored you to death already?
Nope,
Look, this
you
is
have
the last
not.
thing. The last thing I will say on this, as the mother of 3 boys, I think this is critical, though. Look, at the state of boys in this country, boys are less likely to graduate from high school. They're less likely to go to college. They're less likely to then get an advanced degree. They're more likely to try drugs, turn to crime, end up in jail. Boys are really having a hard time in this country. They are more likely to get hooked on serious drugs and have lifetime addictions. I mean, boys are sort of rudderless in this country. And then when you look at all of the things, we have an educational system that for decades has been ignoring the unique needs of boys in order to prop up girls. I mean, I'm glad for the changes that they've made in the educational systems to support girls and to encourage girls, but they have left boys behind. I mean, you don't have to, you don't have to read, everything Christina Hoff Sommers, who's a scholar at AEI and who writes about this and has done amazing work on this. You don't have to read everything she's written to kind of have some common sense and look and go, gosh, boys really are struggling in this culture. Ivanka Trump just announced a new sort of educational initiative to encourage girls to code. It wasn't just encourage kids to code. It was encourage girls to code. I mean, you see this stuff all the time, all of these sort of initiatives and encouraging girls in STEM, encouraging girls in mathematics. Well, is there any thought to maybe encouraging boys on this stuff? So that's part of what frustrates me is that there is one thing out there, one thing dedicated to celebrating boyhood and to encouraging boyhood and to really helping these young boys and young men develop into civic-minded, productive men in the society. And now it's even going gender neutral. So, this is what, as a mother of 3 boys, and you don't have to have boys, you don't have to be a mom to appreciate that this is a real problem. And we're seeing one of the last institutions that really supports boys going away.
Julie Gunlock with the Independent Women's Forum. Listen, unfortunately, we have to go away. I know that you wrote another column, and I want to recommend this because we don't have time to talk about it now. But at Acculturated, the moral emptiness of Hollywood moms. Hopefully, this will be good to talk about next week as well because it's a fantastic column. And so I got to ask, are you staying in Scouts? Are you leaving Scouts? Has Scouts left you? What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's not a matter of
here?
me leaving anything. We'll see. We'll see how these changes often take a while to really, develop. But we'll see how it goes. But I'm deeply disappointed. The last thing I'll say is I don't think that the Scout families were involved at all in this decision. I think this was made very much at the higher levels, and I think they're really ignoring sort of the concerns. And again, you really do have to consider an organization that is ignoring the state of boys in this country, and that's really shameful for an organization that's supposed to help boys. So I know I could go on about this for days, but thanks for for letting me rant about it.
Absolutely. And again, you can read Julie's rants about this again at Acculturated, also at IWF, talking about the Girl Scouts response to this. Julie, thank you as always for coming on the program. It's great talking with you, and we'll do this again very soon.
Thanks for having me.